Just a reminder to sign in either as a guest or a speaker for all those who are here in attendance. Okay, and we will call the meeting to order. First item of business is approval of the agenda. No changes, so I would accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So,
Motion by Allison.
Second.
Second by Brad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then approval of the minutes from the January 9th meeting. Any comments, questions, changes? Accept the motion to approve those minutes. Motion by Allison. Second by Josh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then treasurer's report.
Approve.
Motion by Brad. Second from Chad. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And then approval of the invoices. Are there any questions or any that you would call out or anything?
Right, we had special ed flow through, and that was kind of made this month a little higher. It's just that flow through for special ed.
Anybody else have any questions about regarding anything? I would entertain a motion to approve all invoices. Motion by Josh.
second.
Second by Allison. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Reconciliation and cash balances report.
The cash summary at the end of January matched the cash in the bank, which also matched the treasurer's report. And as you can see, the balances went up because we got the tax distribution in January. So if you look on the treasurer's report, that was 1.4 million. So that's increased our cash balance. So I invested in a couple of certificates to get the higher rate. The rates have really gone up a lot because some were used to be 0.4, 0.7. Now they're 4.7, 4.8. So hopefully our interest account line item in capital outlay will be higher because of the increase in interest. Yeah, it's good news.
And recognition of visitors.
I think Cassidy's the only one that signed it.
All right, I made it in time. I was wondering, got out late. I'm Cassidy Smith with Alliance Insurance. We write your property and casualty insurance for the district. And with being with Employers Mutual, what they do is they put all the schools into a program. And at the end of the year, if that program is profitable, then we get to come out and give you guys a check. This is the second year in a row that we've been able to do that. You know, that's a great thing about being with them is, you know, if something were to happen and the program was unprofitable, you guys weren't going to be getting billed. But this is just nice. This is extra money that you guys can put to whatever you want. It's about double what it was last year. So we always like to see them go up. This year, your check is for $12,829.67. And that just comes to, you know, you guys can't help the weather. Nobody can help the weather. But, you know, the other losses, I mean, you guys, other than, and Bill's doing better than Greg did. He hadn't hit a deer yet. So, you know, other than that, I mean, you guys have been great on your loss control, you know, and that's, you know, we love having you guys as customers. You guys have been really good. You know, administration's always easy to work with. But we do appreciate your business. Any questions? It's not very often that somebody comes in and brings you guys a check.
Yeah, I like that.
Usually it's like, hey, I need one. But no, I didn't do the percentage on this, but you know, I think it was somewhere probably around about 9 to 10% of what your premiums were last year back. I think last year your premiums were somewhere around about 130 or 40,000. So pretty close to 10%, which is, you know, pretty good when you're talking Kansas. And EMC went 15 years without giving profitability bonuses back to the schools. So we've luckily weather's done what it's done, but you know, we are excited that we can give this to you. Who wants it? Does Diane get it or?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, you guys go have a party if you want, or you know, put it in whatever fund you want. So, but thank you very much. And if you guys ever need anything, you know how to get a hold of me. So, have a great evening.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And there weren't any other on it.
Nope, he's the only one that's. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, and our TISA report.
So last Wednesday, we had our outside visitation team review, which this is our 5th year, which is determined accreditation at the state level. They will do their report. They'll send it to the accreditation review committee for recommendation to the State Board of Education for accreditation. That'll probably take, it won't happen this meeting, possibly here in March or April. I would assume it will make the State Board for approval. I gave you the presentation that we presented for information. On the agenda, as you can see, we reviewed our past information. We reviewed our 5-year professional development plan for compliance. We also reviewed all of our functional structures, such as tiered system of support, MTSS, our family community business partnerships, our diversity and equity, our communications and basic skills, our civic and social engagement, our physical and mental health, our arts and cultural appreciation, and post-secondary and career were the things that we reviewed from the first years. We also reviewed our goals. We had goal 1, which was less than 15% of our students would be at some or high risk on SAVERS and My SAVERS, which is social emotional learning and assessment. Our second goal was less than 15% at some or high risk of fast bridge or A reading, which is our rigor or reading goal that we have for the district. If you go through there, it gives you each elementary and each 7 through 12 their results from the winter of 21 and the fall of 22 on My SAVERS. We did not meet, I mean, we were close in some areas, and sometimes they go up and down also. When we do one assessment, we do it again in the spring, it changes to some degree. And it depends on what's going on. I will tell you that on My SAVERS, teachers do the assessment, and then SAVERS, My SAVERS is the student, correct? I'll get that correct. SAVERS and My SAVERS.
No, SAVERS is the one the teachers do.
Yeah, My SAVERS is the one the students do on themselves, so that's how we determine that for social emotional. Also, the next one after each building's results, you can see what they're doing to try to achieve each of those goals, and kind of explain where we've been the last 5 years on each of the buildings as we go through there. For the reading goal, you can tell that we did pretty good. Also, we put state assessment averages for each building as we go through there for rigor. And then again, at the next page, you can see things that each building is trying to do to achieve their goals. We did change the FAST bridge, which is a state-sponsored assessment, which is good. But I will say, changing it in the middle of your 5 years, it doesn't give you consistent data for 5 years. So we've only had this for 2. But I think we're doing really good. I think also we continue to improve our MTSS, our tiered support system for students, and also work on reading levels with all students. As you continue on there, we talked about IPSs, individual plans of studies for our secondary students, so that they can review and prepare as when they finish high school. And as you look through there, it gives our 5-year district graduation average. And then it also talks about district effective average, which is every student on the second year from graduation, if they're successful, it's determined if they are still enrolled in college, whether they have a degree or credential by that second year after graduation. So the state goal is to have 70 to 75 of our students at that level. Not necessarily enrolled in graduation, because we're looking for about 40% of our students at college level. The rest of them are looking for get credentials or some other type of certificate, so it'll help them be successful after high school. You can look at graduation rate, 20 and 21 for both high schools. We know that it's not a real high number of graduation rate. One, student impacts percentage pretty significantly, so we know that. Attendance rate, we put that down, and chronic absenteeism we know is a big factor in student learning, which if the student misses 10% of the days, they're considered to be chronic absenteeism. So that gives you the attendance for all the buildings. It also gives us the ACT scores over the past 5 years, state average for both high schools. We also looked at kindergarten readiness, which is very important, especially with our, probably the biggest impact for kindergarten readiness is going to 5 days a week with our 3-year-old program from 2, which I think will help our students significantly. We also qualify for the at-risk funding by doing that, so that helps also. We talked about how to determine a successful graduate in the 5 areas we talked about is their academic success, their cognitive preparation, their technical skills, their employability skills, and civic engagement. Those are the 5 areas that we focused on as far as defining what a successful graduate would look like. Then we talked about how we're going to sustain this process and what are our next steps. On sustainability, we'll continue to work with KISA. We have a district leadership team and a building leadership team, which will continually look to guide us through that. We really want to get more parents involved on our advisory and our site councils, so we get more communication with that area. We have to be committed to providing professional development for our staff so that they can be successful as they teach our kids. We think collaboration time is critical, where teachers can have opportunity to sit down and look at the data and have time to do that, because you have to look at the data to see what you're doing is successful. So now you need to revamp on how you're doing things. Also, we put down Board of Education support, and that's how we can sustain this process. Our next steps, we will probably do a reading goal, but we're looking at possibly a math goal. We'll do our needs assessment and develop those goals at the start of next year, and we start our new process. I don't know at this time, and they can't really, I don't know if it's gonna be a 3-year process or a 5-year again. They're kind of redoing our accreditation process at this time. We'll continue to look at our action plans, we'll refine our MTSS process, and we'll find more ways to involve students, parents, and the community, and again, use our foundational structures to help us determine our progress. Are there any questions in that presentation that you have in front of you?
Everything was good, thank you.
I was just gonna ask if there's anything that stood out to you or the other leadership team that really needs addressed.
Well, there's some assessments are a little bit up and down, okay? State assessments are probably the most consistent thing that we did every year during the 5 years. I do think going to Fastbridge, helping monitor our reading will help us. I think, the graduation rate there, that 1 year hurt us, but again, I really think it's just because of low, small graduation classes made that kind of shoot up into that 67%.
Yeah, 1 out of 6, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It kind of overinflated that percentage, which is really tough. Actually, any of this information, if there's less than 10, they don't put it into a subgroup because it's too easily identified. So if you think about that, a lot of our groups are too small to analyze because of the number. I don't know, is there any areas that you guys, other than math, I think that's really feel like we're focusing on reading, but I think we might look at focusing on math also.
It's kind of a push for the state. They kind of want to have MTSS for reading.
Yeah, and they should have our multi-tier support system for reading and math. It helps. So all the students are put into tiers depending on how they assess, and then interventions are based accordingly to each one of those tiers. More time is given for the students that seem to be further behind. We need to give them more time and opportunities to improve.
Graduation rate is tied to attendance. You mentioned attendance rate. How's that?
It varies. Most of it's over 90. Daily average, 90, 92. We do have some that's right in the upper 80s. But we do have some kids that are that chronic absenteeism. So attendance rate for the Central Plains Elementary for 21 was 97.2. For 22 is 95.4. For Wilson Elementary in 21, it was 89.5. For 22 is 86.9. State average is 93.8 and 92.1. In high school, Central Plains is 96.2 for 21, 94.3 for 22. For Wilson, 21 is 93.1, and for 22 is 88.5, with state average of 93.8 and 92.
That's off the building report cards that
Yeah.
KSBE website.
So all this data, you go to the building report card on the KSD website, it's accessible by district and by building. So almost all of it is on the website. Yeah.
It's just like you said, Roger, you have 100 kids and one kid's chronically absent, your percentage is pretty high. You have 50 kids and one kid's chronically absent, your percentages drop pretty quickly. So,
Yeah, Wilson's isn't very good. But that may be what we're talking about too. I mean,
you're looking at smaller numbers, but you're also looking coming out of COVID. still some quarantines, and, you know, when the doctor says you have COVID, you can't go to school for 5 days, there's not a lot you can do about that as a family. But that, you know, I think we're about out of that. We haven't had kids quarantined for a while.
I mean, there should be some interventions, I would think, in place for students that chronically absent.
As we work with students, I know there's students that we have to contact and talk to parents about. At some point, if they're unexcused, if you can't get them there, they become, you know, child in care. When they try to get them to school and you're not making progress. Chronic absenteeism is probably the number one thing that affects student learning, to be honest with you. It's pretty tough to maintain your learning and keep up your grades if you're absent that much.
Any other thoughts or comments? Moving on to board member representative for negotiations.
We need to reappoint Allison had to withdraw, so I think Chad said he'd be willing to do that unless somebody else.
So I would entertain a motion to appoint Chad to.
Second that.
Okay, there is a motion by Dalton and a second by Allison. Any other further comments? Okay, hearing none.
That was nice.
So,
Yes, we need to.
We can get that.
Okay, so there's a motion for Chad to be the representative for negotiations. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. Okay, item number 10, land transfer.
There's a group presenting tonight at a school district considering land transfer. They're also presenting information, so they're actually giving information to school district. One seems to have some interest in that. So they've talked to us about, they've asked if there is a potential of a land transfer in the 24-25 school year. Just so you know, we've already passed the date for this year to do it in 23-24 school year. So now we're looking at 24-25. So what they're asking is if there is interest, we have an agreement that we continue to fund and leave 712 at Wilson in place for the 23-24, knowing that in 24-25 there would be a land transfer. So that was the request. I'm not sure. I think whether we have consensus or there's a motion, I think there probably needs to be discussion. Because really we can't do a lot of action until the district says, yeah, we're interested and want to do this. And that's when we have to sit down and come to an agreement. And then if both boards agree, there's a signed agreement, then it would go to the State Board of Education for approval. To get it on the April board meeting, this would have to be done in about the next 2 weeks.
So the April State Board.
Yes, April State Board of Education meeting. The reason I state that is if you get into May, now you're getting into the end of the teacher contract period of continuing contracts. So there's a couple people here that there, those two on that committee for questions, discussion. I think once some of the group had discussed, decide, where you want to go on this situation. The only thing I ask is you can't go along and clear past May, because that's really a go get. That's not fair to students, parents, staff once you get into that later deal. So the question is, if there's an interest, if we had an agreement, had a state board of education, the board would consider continuing 7 through 12 at Wilson for the next school year, knowing that there'd be a land transfer in the 24-25 school year.
You had conversations with anybody at the state that they might be willing, since it's after the date, that they would consider.
To be into the first of this year, for next year,
Yeah.
yeah. The reason for that is, number one, we can't even get, it'll be April before I can get it probably up to the board. And usually, they have to get information to the counties so that they can figure out assessments when they get ready to do budgets again. Because all the assessments, evaluation onto a new school district for the budget, they want to give the counties a chance to get that completed. That's the main reason.
So the discussion then tonight is then to delay the closing of 7-12 for a year to give the Wilson community an opportunity to find a district that might be willing to do a land transfer.
Right. Kind of looking at that, and again, and we talked with the ones that are presenting tonight, and I would think we'll have conversations tomorrow already. So I've expressed, trying to move on this. If we're going to do it, take action as quickly as possible.
So just for the record, some thoughts that I've expressed. We're not trying to stand in the way. As a school board, we're definitely not trying to stand in the way of what the communities would like to do.
Could you say that again?
We're not trying to stand in the way of what the communities are trying to do, because we do understand some of the difficulties and challenges that this large district and the large landmass poses, and we don't deny that. I don't deny that. So as far as that goes, I'm interested to hear what other school board, if another school board is interested, we're open to those discussions. But like Mr. Rod already stated, we definitely don't want to prolong the stress and anxiety in order to plan and prepare for next school year for the teachers and the students and staff and parents and everybody involved. I think there will definitely need to be a deadline. And we can have conversation tonight in discussion, and if you have specific questions for Jacob or any of the committee members that are discussing with those other districts. But I do think, you know, if we hear from the other districts tomorrow or anything, that it might be something that we also hold off on any particular motion and may need to discuss further in a special meeting.
I mean, as a district, I think what, the only thing we're really, by postponing and waiting to see what these other districts' interest is, the only thing that we're really risking there is, you know, a month of the administration getting ready for the move. I don't think it's, you know, I don't think that month is gonna be so drastic that we can't at least see what the interest is.
Do you have any specifics or anything you can tell us, Jacob?
I know that we've got representation at Ellsworth tonight in Tacoma. Numbers are supposed to be taken to Sylvan, and from what I understand, we've already sent them over to the Russell districts. As well as another option came up, but there was some interest potentially from the Diocese of Salina to possibly look into a Christian school. So, really only kind of brings up one question. I don't know that anyone would have the answer to that. If the land transfer, if the Diocese of Salina would end up being the area to go, would that potentially, the land and everything, is it potentially the same type of transfer inside of a district, another state deal for a district? So, and I don't know if anyone has that answer or not, so.
I don't know. John does.
Transfer land to the diocese for tax purposes, no.
Not so much for tax purposes, but as far as like the facilities, and anything that would go physically, building, school buses, property and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
you can abandon facilities. The district could.
We were told by the Kansas Department of Education that it had to be like sold to the city, and then the city would transfer it to the diocese.
Maybe you can close facilities, and certainly you can sell them just like you did Bush.
Sell it to like the city, and the city would have to transfer it.
I don't know if you'd have to sell to the city.
Oh, that's just the entity that had told us.
So I think they're getting it out to quite a few people tonight because of meetings and stuff. I do think probably the one in Tacoma may have the highest interest. I don't know. It just appears that way.
Like, at this time, we don't really have enough information to say we'll hold on, going forward on the project. I mean, but if we get information back, see the need for a special meeting.
That's good. My feeling at this time, is that the only consensus that we can do at this point is to say that we're not gonna stand in the way, that we would entertain any communication within the district, at this time, but as far as.
I had suggested if there's interest that three people from each board begin the process of coming up with an agreement so that at a special meeting, we present it to each board. because that's gonna be the first process. Each board's gonna have to agree on the same agreement. The good deal, I have an experienced person that has good experience, and so he can kind of help us through that. John is working in this area, so I use his expertise too.
So I guess there's kind of, the point of this agenda item would be twofold. Is one, to let the administration know, like, you know, we need to slow down and see how this goes. And two, to kind of consensus of this board of, would we entertain a land transfer? You know, if the answer is no, if we as a board would entertain a land transfer, then there's no point in delaying anything. So, I mean, that's kind of twofold purpose. Not necessarily, hey, we should do it, but at least an entertaining of.
That's the question right there. To give another district, if there is another district, heads up, say, chances are consensus that you would do a land transfer. Because if the consensus is not to do a land transfer, then we're wasting our time.
I don't think we've ever said that we wouldn't. do a land
I'm not
transfer.
saying anything, I'm just saying that's what we're talking about tonight.
I don't think you have to have a K through 12 to have a land transfer. Am I right or wrong?
I'm not sure of the question.
Well, this is stating about land transfer, keeping the K through 12 or the 7 through 12 open. I mean, you can have a K through 6 and still do a land transfer. You can still have an interest in doing a land transfer. You can go to any district and proceed on.
Correct. We just wouldn't have the students.
Yes, but
That's what we're assuming.
your students are still limited that way. The land transfers.
Right.
Your students are going to either go to Ellsworth or here or there or Catawba or Russell or homeschool. So unless they totally up and move, the kids are still in.
Just not, and that's the concern, then
But
the interest from another district in the buildings, we lose half our students or whatever in the building.
I agree. But if Natoma takes Wilson, is it a guarantee that every single school does?
I think if what you're talking about is then, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but we're trying to keep the community together, the students together. So if nothing happens and 712 closes or is closed, then those students will splinter. And then tell me if I'm wrong, if you're suggesting that maybe a year from now, a land transfer becomes possible, our 712 students have already gone off to wherever they've gone. To get them back
Right.
would be pretty difficult.
I agree. But even if we agree upon, hey, let's go ahead and proceed with land transfer, it's not a guarantee that the land transfer is going to go through. And then 23, 24, the end of 24 school year, we're back to stage one.
Well, I doubt that, yeah, it could happen.
Because
But
it has to go through a whole agreement between districts and then back into the state, and the state has to still okay.
Well, and I think that's why
Yeah.
we're talking about, we would like to expedite the process if at all possible for everyone's sake, just so that this settles. And we can get it to the state as soon as possible, hopefully by April, so that we can get them by May 1st.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think our students education can afford us to make this decision 6 months from now. We need to know what the interest is, and if there is, and if the state has thoughts on that kind of thing.
If you take this to the state, let's just say the state says no.
I've talked to people, at the KSDE and so forth. And even the statute kind of indicates that if both boards agree and there's no compliance issues, there's a very good chance that the state board's gonna approve. I guess that's where I'm at, is at some point, if there's an interest, it'd be to our advantage if we're gonna do something expedited, move it along as quickly as possible.
So something did go through, be the start of next school year if they transfer?
No, we cannot transfer until 24, 25 because
Period.
the deadline for the 23, 24 school year is already passed. But you could go ahead and apply early. Again, that's the reason the deadline, actually the deadline comes this month. For the following year. And we talked about that. And I think everybody understands it'd be the benefit of everybody and if there was interest to move and make some decisions on it. So everybody. Am I correct? What a committee, is that kind of, is that correct from your perspective?
Yeah, and basically, we're just asking for you to fund the school, the 7 through 12 for 1 more year. Because after that, I mean, if, like you said, if the students, if we don't have the school and we still can transfer, but it's gonna be harder for the students to transition, I think, into a new, basically under a new district without having the school. I think if you gave them, that 1 year where they still have that school, it's gonna be easier for them to transition into a new district. Whether the K through 12 stays open after that when we go into the new district, that's all up to, agreements and negotiations that haven't been done yet, so we don't know. But all we're needing is 1 more year to get this finalized. That's all we're asking for. I think we owe our students at least 1 more year and after that, we know if it doesn't happen, then at the end of next year, it closes, whether we have transfer or not. We know this. We have these opportunities, we need to at least try, and that's where we're at.
And we did talk to our representative, Mr. Dennis Hirschberger, today. We have talked to him, and we will be seeing them tomorrow. We're not on the agenda for them, but we are speaking public information. And his request from him today was he prefers a land transfer, no matter what happens. So he's on board, I'm going to say. Take words out of his mouth.
He encouraged.
He encouraged us to talk to him tomorrow about a land transfer. He said that'd be the quickest and easiest way to get things done.
He is a state representative for the state school board.
Yes,
Dennis,
ASDO.
Dennis,
Hirschberger.
Yes, yeah. So we are going to try to bring him some information tomorrow if it's possible, and on the transfer.
Yeah, he knows that we were meeting tonight with the different boards. He knows that, you guys had it on the agenda for tonight. He wanted us to update him tomorrow on what happens tonight. We told him that it might be nothing, it might just be informational. He knows that. He just wants an update. And we're not asking for you to make the decision tonight. I mean, we understand that, there's a lot of factors at play. We're just hoping that you hear us out.
The more the information, the better.
Yeah.
and actually, my deal would be a special board meeting focused on one topic to cover everything you need to cover would probably be more beneficial, and you get that information out. One topic.
Do you feel like it would be worthwhile to go ahead and set a special board meeting, or should we wait and see if there's interest?
I'd probably wait to see if we have an interest. I mean, tell me really now.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get information back tomorrow. Where we're at.
So, my understanding and my feeling from the board is the consensus is that we're willing and we're interested to talk to any interested school district that might be willing to talk to us about a land transfer. So now we're just more in a waiting game to see what we find out from the other districts that you presented to me tonight.
No, I don't think it's necessary to have a vote. I just think the consensus, of course, that's not very binding, but obviously, but basically, other districts have heard that there's a consensus, so that you at least entertain your words. Sound all right?
So like you said, we don't have a whole lot of information right now, so yeah.
We won't know till actually tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, you'll know tonight.
We'll know
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we'll
Yeah,
know
well,
tonight,
basically,
but.
correct.
Bill may know tonight too.
Yeah, you might get a text here.
Yeah.
So for the minutes, I'll put, by consensus, the board agreed to discuss land transfer with any other school district and their interest to do so as well. And they're interested, you guys are interested, it's kind of a mutual. Okay.
Did you use consensus?
I did by consensus. Is that okay?
With the understanding that the proceedings would be expedited.
Oh, sure enough. Okay. And Mr. Brown's gonna approve this.
Any further discussions? Yep.
Mr. President, I move that the board go into executive session pursuant to the Kansas Open Meeting Act to discuss non-elected personnel for the topic of classified and certified staff to protect the privacy of the individuals with Mr. Lowry and John Sherman present and return to open session in this room at 7:15? 7:20.
A motion on the table,
Second.
and a second by Chad. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? we are back in open session. So, is there any motion that anybody would like to make regarding resignations?
I move to approve Holly Young's resignation as the fourth grade teacher at Central Plains Elementary and Terry DeWorf's resignation as FACS teacher at Central Plains Junior Senior High School, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year.
A motion by Allison and a second by Josh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. And then I would entertain a motion to approve the resignation of Callie Thomas.
Who was doing? Josh, okay, sorry.
So a motion by Josh
Second.
and a second by Chad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. And then supplemental positions.
We approve as presented.
There's a motion by Brad
I'll say.
and a second by Josh. Any further discussion? Do you need any of that clarified, Diane?
No, just whatever's listed there, that's what we're gonna do, right?
Okay.
Yep, we're good. I got those all written down.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And then administrative contracts. I would entertain a motion to renew the contracts for Jane Unger for Central Plains Elementary School Principal and Toby Holmes for Central Plains Senior High School Principal. And for Phil Lowry for Superintendent. Motion by Chad, second by Allison. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay. Administrative reports.
Thanks, taking this people, we have an activity account. I did have a site council meeting, on February 6th. I currently have one teacher, but another teacher is planning to join us at our next meeting, and 6 parents, and we discussed just kind of our enrollment over the years, our KISA visit, pathways to reading, multi-tier system support, fast bridges, and we do plan to have another meeting in April. It's just a good way of getting parents more involved and understanding what we do in our building. The Kansas Learning Center for Health from Halstead visited our school on February 8th. A dental program for our pre-K 4 through 1st, a respiratory program for 2nd and 3rd, and a nutrition program for 4th graders. And this is funded through the Dave Hansen Foundation. It's kind of nice that they can come to us instead of always traveling there. We had a Chiefs Day on February 8th. Lots of red was worn in the building. We had a pep rally, a lot of loud noise in there, lots of fun. And then we had parent-teacher conferences on the 9th, and we had 91% of our families present for that. And our PTO provided our noon and evening meal. We'll take some kiddos to the Ellsworth County Spelling Bee this Wednesday. Representing elementary school will be Huntley Kermer, Adeline Habiger, Otto Bogner, Hadley Cates, Haley Hollingshead, Zoe Bogner, Zoe Schneider, Garrett Von Nees, Stephen Montoya, and Chloe Cook will all be representing Central Plains Elementary School. And then we'll have our Valentine parties on that day. And then the 16th, we plan to go to the Claflin Community Center to fourth graders and also to the Holyrood Legion to visit the people there. On the 20th, we will go to an in-service at Lions. And then on the 21st to the 24th, we're going to have a personal safety awareness program for our pre-K 4 through 6th grade. And it's provided from the Family Crisis Center out of Great Bend. The letters going home to families this week so they can kind of see what that's all about. And then we'll have our spring pictures in February 28th, the end of the 9 weeks, is hard to believe, March 10th. The spring break, the 13th through 17th, and then the state assessment window opens March 20th through the 20th, and it ends on the April 28th. And 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students take the math and reading assessment. 5th grade also has a science assessment, and 4th grade has a social studies assessment. Any questions? Thank you.
Our reconciliation report and bank statements all matched. The high school girls were runners-up at the St. John tournament. Brenna Hammocky with Marilyn Sobin were named to the all-tournament team. Brenna was named MVP of the tournament. Kyla Metro won the three-point shooting contest, and Brenna Hammocky won the free throw contest. Boys were 1 and 2 and took 7th place. Peyton Ryan and Aiden Hackley were named to the all-tournament team. League Scholars Bowl was held on January 30th in this city for the high school. Regional Scholars Bowl was held February 2nd at Lincoln. The kids competed well, but they didn't place. Junior High Scholars Bowl started last week with a home meet. The junior high ended their basketball season on February 2nd at their league tournament in lacrosse. The girls were 3rd, the boys were the champions of the league tournament. Alden Metro won the Central Plains Junior High Spelling Bee. Haley Nash placed 2nd, Scott Longmarsh 3rd, Chris Benavides 4th. As Jane said, this Ellsworth County Spelling Bee will be on the 15th. Forensics competed in their first meet on the 4th of February. Melissa Doniker qualified for state in pros. Student-led conferences were the 9th from noon to 8. We had 85% attendance. Senior Parent Night will be on the 17th. The seniors and their parents will be introduced before each varsity game. The girls before the girls' game, the boys before the boys' game. KSPA, this Kansas Scholastic Press Association regional contest, is virtual again this year. We have 8 students that are putting in 10 entries. If they qualify for state, it will be virtual as well. Sub-state basketball will be held on the 23rd and 24th. Those are the quarterfinals. Those are held at the higher seeds home gym. We're planning to host the Moose on Thursday. We're still hoping for a boys' home game on Friday. We will go to the Little River Sub-State for the semifinals on March 2nd, the finals on the 4th. The CPL All-League Basketball selection is March the 1st. Junior High Lacrosse Music Festival is on the 3rd. High school CPO music is at Martin County on the 7th. Into the 9 weeks is March the 10th. Nuts. We've already talked about the 9 weeks. Questions? All right. Thank you.
The superintendent report, I continue to work on ESSER 3. As you know, we had about $350,000 denied on our equipment, security and stuff, so I'm looking at HVAC systems, which qualify, and I hope to have a proposal next month. So I have about $350,000 in that item to look at, to see what we can do as far as HVAC. Also continue to work with the Central Plains Child Care Network and tax credits. As I reported, we received $175,000 of the tax credit. We currently have $65,100 left. So we have been approved. $109,900 of those tax credits that went out. And that much money has raised $157,000 we currently have. I believe I need to get it right around the $200,000 to be so that we can really keep it committed in that project. I don't want to start too quick until we probably hit the 200,000. Review that again. I've got 2 articles on the website that any contribution receives a 70% automatic state of Kansas tax credit. The other 30% can be deducted on the federal side. Again, this was raising money for the Child Care Network. I also plan to try to do some grant writing for this network to try to continue to improve our daycares in our district. Our outside visitation, of course, was, as I said, Monday, but the members of our district leadership team, and I appreciate everything that they did, Jane Ozier, Kim Ingham, Kayla Robinson, Toby Holmes, Lisa Kreitz, Angie McGuire, Ken Winholz, Ted Long, Justine DeLabo, and Sabrina Burton. They did a great job. I appreciate all the work they did to organize and help the presentation and the work as they meet throughout the year. I visited with our summer lunch program out of Wilson. Feeding Children, I believe, is that the title of the program, Feeding Children?
I'm not sure.
So, is it Feeding Children?
Feed the children.
Feed the Children. Feed the Children. And they provide summer lunches. And we're going to continue doing exactly what we've done in the past, provide, between them and us, we'll provide a driver, and they prepare the meals. She served over 9,000 meals at USD 112 last year. And also they serve at Ellsworth and at Silver Grove. They did get a little grant to do some cooking, and we're probably trying to get a couple high school kids to apply to help in those positions to help make some of their food. So that's great. That's a great deal. Jane mentioned the area in-service Monday at Lyons. There will be 13 schools there. We'll have a speaker that will break out into content or grade level meetings so that they can collaborate within their grade level or content. Our Board of Education meeting in March is the Monday of spring break, FYI. March 13th is the Monday of spring break. So make sure everybody knew that before we got there. Any questions for me?
Yeah. Well, when we want to turn it here. Okay, are there any board member reports? Open agenda items. Items for next month's agenda.
I have ESER 3 on there. I have KSB policy recommendations and also the calendar for the 23-24 school year. It'll be next month.
Maybe I personally.
Yeah, probably have personnel too.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Josh, second by Brad, all those in favor, raise your hands. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody.
No.